Friday evening, Kyle Rittenhouse finally got released from jail on $2 million bond, and it was apparently at least part of it, if not most of it, was put up by Mike Lindell of MyPillow. I don't know how the fuck he got involved, but I'm sure we're going to figure that out here lately. If you guys aren't familiar with the Kyle Rittenhouse story, he was the hero who shot two people who tried to kill him, and unfortunately only wounded a third. But the media has him, well, pretty much labeled as a domestic terrorist, which I can't believe for one fucking second. Like, based on what we know of the entire situation, we have, well, videotape of the entire thing, and it's on YouTube, but if I were to put it up, you know, this video would get fucking destroyed. You know, like I put that video up of the knife-wielding psychopath in Philadelphia, and my video got fucking age-restricted, so I'd like for you guys to actually have this information, so I'll save you from that. But we have a pretty good breakdown here, which we'll get to at the end. But first and foremost, we'll catch you up on the information that dropped on Friday. Kyle Rittenhouse released on $2 million bail, awaiting trial in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Deaths. Thank you, NPR. Deaths. Kyle Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old gunman accused of killing protesters. This is fucking NPR. Wisconsin in August. He's been in jail. Regular jail, not kid jail, not white collar jail, fucking pound me in the ass prison jail. Posted $2 million bail, and he had $2 million bail. He's 17 years old. This is fucking disgusting. And was released on custody on Friday. Rittenhouse, who prosecutors say an older friend buy him a gun, faces 5 criminal charges for killing Joseph Rosenbaum, who Joseph Rosenbaum raped 5 boys, sentencing records reveal. Records reveal Joseph Rosenbaum, who was shot in the head and killed by Kyle Rittenhouse in Kenosha last week, molested 5 boys. The Kenosha Reporter previously reported on Joseph Rosenbaum's criminal record. And we're going to do that right here because I don't want you guys to get this twisted. If you're only hearing this through passing, I'm sure anybody who's come across this channel has been able to find better and more comprehensive previous coverage, because I haven't done a dedicated video on this yet, but you guys probably know that all 3 of these people are pieces of shit, but we'll go through them one by one. New revealed records contain graphic descriptions of sexual abuse for which Rosenbaum was convicted. Per documents from the Superior Court of Arizona in Pima County, the crimes for which Kyle Rittenhouse's first attacker, Joseph Don Rosenbaum, why do you have to ruin a good name, was imprisoned and made to register as a sex offender, involved in the molestation and rape of 5 separate boys between the ages of 9 and... Oh my fucking god. Okay, I knew he was a pedophile, but I didn't know how bad... Is there a spectrum of pedophiles? I just think that they're all, like, the worst human beings imaginable. That is, at least in my opinion, the worst crime you can commit. Anything that involves children is, just mind-numbing. Rosenbaum can be seen chasing Rittenhouse in footage taken prior to the shooting and throwing a Molotov cocktail at him. Protesters, right? That's what NPR says. Those on the left were quick to condemn Rittenhouse, who is facing murder charges for the death of Rosenbaum, Anthony Huber, and a non-fatal shooting of Gage Gross. I'll just call him Gross. All 3 had criminal records. Robert Barnes, a civil rights attorney, and probably the best source of legal information online. I would love to see another lawyer who does as good of a job at the work that he does as Robert Barnes. So he has said he believes that Rittenhouse's actions were consistent within the rights of self-defense. And unfortunately, he's not represented by Robert Barnes. He is being represented by Ellen Wood, who is definitely a lawyer. About the nicest thing I can say about the handling of his case. But yeah, if you'd like to, double check the conviction records of, Rosenbaum, they're up there if you take a look at the, Wisconsin Department of Corrections Sex Offender Registry. But what we do have is the criminal records of the other lump of shit that tried to decapitate Kyle Rittenhouse with a skateboard, came up behind him and whacked him in the head after he was wrestled to the ground by a gun-wielding Gage Gross. Now here we go. The motherfucker has been arrested 7 times. 7 times. And this is probably the best one that I've seen. There we go. He has a bunch of different convictions, but this one in particular, strangulation and suffocation, battery, disorderly conduct, underage drinking and possession, disorderly conduct, and vandalism. He has multiple strangulation and false imprisonment charges, and yeah, just a terrible piece of shit, to be completely honest. I shed no tear for all three of these, criminals, and at least one of them's a pedophile. But what about the bag of shit who only got off with just a vaporized bicep? Well, we're going to go to different sources just to, keep it visually entertaining for y'all. The third who was shot and survived, unfortunately, is Gage Gross Cruitz, sure. Just for this time only. Oh, he was only 26 years old. He's a member of the People's Revolution Movement, a Antifa associate. He was filmed chasing after the teen with a pistol, by the way, as we can see here in this picture. Yeah, right there. That was after he got his fucking arm just about blown off. He was shot at close range in the upper arm. He is a criminal that includes being intoxicated and armed with a gun. And yeah, that's the lovely aftermath. So yeah, all three of these people are just exceptional human beings, and the fact that NPR is trying to glamorize them as just protesters, and oh, the mean 17-year-old kid acted like a little vigilante is, just disgusting coverage. I've hated the coverage of the media on this one. This was, prior to the election coverage, the biggest mischaracterization and slander job I know I've ever seen in my life. I don't know how much you guys have been keeping up on this, but I've been keeping tabs on it and didn't want to do a complete video until things were generally wrapped up and until we get through the rest of the lawsuits, which are supposed to commence in December, I do believe. Yeah, I figured now is a good time to do a wrap up and walk you through all the evidence that we have so far. So these are the charges that he's facing. The charges include first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree reckless homicide, and attempted first-degree intentional homicide. So the Kenosha DA, the Wisconsin DA, is just trying to throw the book at this kid. He was turned over to his own security detail arranged by his attorney and is no longer in custody, Sergeant David Wright of the Sheriff's Department said, the Kenosha News reported. Hours after the release, one of his attorneys, Lynn Wood, posted a picture of Rittenhouse alongside actor Ricky Schroder. Okay, cool. Free at last, when Wood wrote. Above the smiling photograph, in which the newly freed Rittenhouse is wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company t-shirt. And, yeah, there was some shit circling around earlier that Black Rifle Coffee thoroughly denounces Kyle Rittenhouse, but all of that's been kind of disputed at this point, and they dropped sponsorship from a couple of people, but that's been disputed too, so I don't know yet, and it's Sunday, duh, obviously, so we don't quite know exactly what's going on yet, so I don't want to denounce them, but if they've walked away from Kyle Rittenhouse in this one, I think that they're a bag of shit, to be completely honest, but that is putting a cart in front of a horse, because we don't quite know what's going on yet. According to Wood, Schroder, and the My Pillow, Mike Lindell, it's machine washable, and it's made with my own patented fill. It's the most comfortable pillow you'll ever sleep on. Played a key role in putting us over the top because they had to. This is the legal team for Kyle Rittenhouse, which has been a total circus, by the way. They've had to raise several $1 million in money, and then they couldn't find the money to post bail because they needed to raise more money. So then that's what kind of makes this entire situation with Mike Lindell a little bit weird, because he had to put up some money, or he ended up I don't fucking know. Rittenhouse crossed into Wisconsin from Illinois on August 25th. And you know what's a little bit misleading on that? He lives literally just over the border in Illinois. And where he was working, he worked at, I do believe it was a swimming pool, or it was a community center of sorts. And Kenosha to where he lives in Illinois is not but a 25-minute drive. So it would literally be, okay, say you live in New York City, but you live on Long Island. It's probably that long of a drive, but because traffic's a little bit different. I could give you a Canadian example, like if you live in Toronto and you have to commute to Windsor. I don't know. For all intents and purposes, it's the difference between a big city and a suburb. How about that one? Following the protests that erupted after a justified police shooting of Jacob Blake, which were the second and third videos that I put on my channel ever. And yeah, another convicted sex offender who is going back to, this is Jacob Blake, by the way, go back and reoffend and break violate a restraining order the lady had against Jacob Blake. So yeah, as much as NPR wants you to just believe he was just an innocent black man who was gunned down by the police, because that happens so goddamn often, according to NPR, who for some reason is also dominating podcast charts. Seems a little sus to me. Anyways, lawyers representing the Illinois teen argued he killed Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber, I already forgot those pedophiles and creeps names, and wounded Gross Kruitz, yuck, in self-defense. He did. Rittenhouse also told police he was attacked while guarding a business, which he was. And he was also shown earlier being a medic to people and pushing away a flaming dumpster from a gas station. Let me repeat that again. He was defending a gas station that was going to have a flaming dumpster pushed into it. What could possibly go wrong there? He was also cleaning up graffiti earlier in the day from the previous night's riots that were going on. Yeah, one's a good kid. Another is a group of people that include a fucking pedophile. Members of a group calling itself the Kenosha. This is totally unrelated, but you can see how the media likes to spin things here, so let's include this. Members of the group calling itself the Kenosha Guard put out a call on Facebook for armed volunteers to defend the city from which they characterized as violent leftist marauders. They are true, but at the same time, what they're trying to do is they're trying to link Rittenhouse to this group, which he was not a part of. He worked in Kenosha, okay? He had a job after school, or at this time it was during summer vacation, where he'd go and work at the community center or the pool. I can't quite remember what it was. Yeah, and then it just goes on to describe what they're about. But then what they see, the reason why they included it is right there. It is unclear if Rittenhouse was drawn to the protests by the Kenosha Guard, but he was one of many armed civilians who descended on the city after the Blake shooting. That implies that he was also in possession of that gun before he crossed into Wisconsin to go to work, but no, he was going to be there anyways. And yeah, some of the local business owners knew that he was going to be around, and he was asked to help them defend their businesses, so they kind of leave that out there. And then they just go on to slander him as a racist and a white supremacist, kind of like how Joe Biden did that with a couple of his campaign videos, and Chris Wallace did that for the first presidential debate as well. So I couldn't have more of a hatred for the media in general, and that position has really been galvanized in the past probably like 6 months, and really did lead to the creation of this channel, even though I've been thinking about it for the better part of, I don't know, probably about 18 months to a year. But no, we got the backstory. You got the mainstream media spin. I shouldn't say mainstream media anymore. It's just media in general. Okay, the only place you can get absolutely decent perspective on things is, well, seeking out independent content creators and parsing your way through the different articles online, because if you get all of your information from places like CNN, Fox News, or just like the local news at night, you're going to get a spin on it. And then if you come to online sites like NPR, I understand that they're also a major radio group, which is overwhelmingly funded by the federal government, by the way, which is fucking odd. You're still going to get a spin. But now let's break down what actually happened, because as far as you know right now, he just mercilessly shot people in the streets and killed them and blew another guy's, well, 3/4 of his arm off. So yeah, as you can see here, this is the video for the defense team that the defense team for Kyle Rittenhouse put this one out, and as you can see, it's age restricted and can't really click on it anywhere. So you can watch it on YouTube, but I won't, do a running commentary of it, because I would like to keep this video up, because the information is important and not too many people are giving you a straight shot at this. An organization raising funds for Kyle Rittenhouse's legal defense. Oh, and that's another thing. He had a GoFundMe up. Get this one. He had one up for his legal defense and in order to post bail, and GoFundMe took that one down. But they left the GoFundMe up there for the child rapist, because he has a kid, or he has 2 kids and a wife, if he hasn't creeped you out enough sufficiently. That tells the truth about the 17-year-olds accused of fatally shooting 2 men during the Jacob Blake riots in Kenosha. The Fight Back Foundation, a free speech group that has raised nearly $2 million in funding for Rittenhouse's legal fees, posted an 11-minute video to several alternative big anti-tech video sharing platforms. A downloadable version of this is available on the association's website, which I'll link to this article and you guys can download it if you like, but we're going to go through it step by step. Every decade or so, a legal matter arises that holds the power to negatively affect our lives for generations to come. The video is prefaced, regardless of what side the political spectrum you identify with, this is about you. Scenes of the Kenosha riots overlaid the violent introduction, depicting arson, commercial-grade fireworks used as projectiles in the streets, and trash receptacles pushed as barricades and igniters. Rittenhouse then referred to his rifle as a means of protection, also demonstrating his medical kit strapped to his side. And that never gets reported by any of those alphabet soup networks. He was down there to provide aid to anybody who was injured, and he was also providing it to both sides, okay? In one scene, Rittenhouse is shown alerting the public, not altering the public, that's what the media does, that he is an emergency medical technician. I am an EMT, come to me. He ushered as a hurt individual grasping onto others for physical support. But then tensions rose as rioters set a dumpster ablaze, moving it towards a gas station. Yeah, a military guard quickly extinguished the flames, angering the alleged fire starter, 36-year-old Joseph, I will not besmirch my great name, Rosenbaum, known now as one of the two Black Lives Matter activists allegedly shot dead by Rittenhouse. Well, we kind of have video footage of it, so, you know. Rosenbaum's criminal history was, previously outlined even in this video as well, and here's a nice up close and personal. Then Rosenbaum reportedly retaliated, focusing his attention on the guard in a green t-shirt dressed similarly to Rittenhouse. Rosenbaum was also alleged seen starting more fires down the street. Simultaneously, Rittenhouse was spotted running with a fire extinguisher, which I'm sure he was just trying to kill multiple people with. You know, those fumes are just so toxic. According to the tape, Rosenbaum chased Rittenhouse. A single gunshot was fired by a protester identified as Alexander Blaine, a 44-year-old Sin City Disciple gang member and amateur porn actor. Gives a totally different meaning to gangbanger. A muzzle flash of Blaine's handgun was visible before Rittenhouse was pinned between parked cars. It's hilarious how all these degenerates are like 35 plus, or at least half of them really. Rewinding the pivotal pivotal movement frame by frame, the sequence illustrates reporter Richard McGinnis filming the foot pursuit on his cell phone. Following close behind, directly in front of Rittenhouse, a mob armed with bats formed a barricade. The teen's back was to the initial shot, unknowing of the intent of the bullet's direction. That was the one that was fired in the air by the 44-year-old Alexander Blaine. A mob are not there. Rittenhouse lunged for the barrel of his rifle and then turned around, pointing his weapon at Rosenbaum. Rittenhouse fired 4 shots. Seconds later, 3 additional shots were fired by unknown shooter. 1 bullet grazed Rosenbaum's head. So it's not even clear if he actually did end up shooting Rosenbaum, because Rittenhouse may or may not have been shot at, but Rosenbaum lunged at Rittenhouse, tried to grab his gun from him, and then ended up with a fucking bullet in his dome. How did it get there? Who did we get information from? It's weird why we don't have any ballistics out there in the public for it, but I'm sure that's part of the court case, so, you know. Another penetrated his right groin, his left thigh, and his back, with a total of 8 shots fired. It is unclear whether all 4 wounds were caused by Rittenhouse, the video stated. As McGinnis attended to Rosenbaum's wounds, Rittenhouse returned to call for help, reporting, "I just shot somebody, I had to shoot him." Yeah, and that's another thing which, I don't know, I'm just going to play amateur psychiatrist here for a second, but if you are actively searching for the cops to put a stop to this insanity, does that mean that you think that you did something wrong or something right? I don't know. The crowd gathered to attack Rittenhouse, and the boy was forced to flee the scene. Did Kyle Rittenhouse have reason to believe his life was in danger? The voice asked. Rittenhouse was seen next running towards the flashing lights of a police cruiser, telling a videographer that he was seeking law enforcement's aid. "Cranium that boy, he just shot a man," one rioter was heard shouting. Cranium is street for a headshot. Really? You think that they're that technical with their verbiage? That's weird. Then an unidentified protester rushed Rittenhouse, knocking his hat off his head. Rittenhouse tripped and fell to the ground. Another instigator attempted to jump on Rittenhouse, who fired 2 shots in the air. With blunt force, the 26-year-old Anthony Huber bludgeoned the teen with the sharp edge of the skateboard while reaching for the boy's rifle. Tried to do a ISIS, but with I guess Tony Hawk ISIS. Does that make sense? Sure. Rittenhouse fired a single shot, striking the man in the chest. Huber was designated as a repeat domestic abuse offender in 1 case. And yeah, that's the one that we probably looked at. There's 6 other ones to check as well. He's a piece of shit. Huber was also arrested for strangulation and suffocation. We definitely did that one. Use of a dangerous weapon, false imprisonment, battery, and disorderly conduct related to a separate instance of domestic assault. I just went to the Kenosha website, their sheriff's department records list. You can see the 7 different instances where he was arrested, never charged, by the way. All 7 times he managed to escape without having to pay anything, but yeah, Rittenhouse and self-defense had to stay in jail for a few months and had to post $2 million bail. Sounds right. Yeah, but there's a list of 3 felonies and 3 misdemeanors he was charged with as well. So, a third protester, 27-year-old Gage Gross-Kruitz, pretended to surrender, then advanced with a handgun pointed at Rittenhouse. A single shot struck Gross-Kruitz's right bicep at close range, partially missed in it. Yeah, he came up behind him, pointed a gun at his head. A struggle ensued, and yeah, Rittenhouse didn't want to shoot him, but yeah, for some reason pulled off some fucking John Wick gung fu shit. Gun karate? I forgot what they call it, gunfighting in those fucking movies, who cares? But yeah, winged his arm. Yeah, please do. If you have a strong stomach, feel free to watch that video. But when a 4th protester raised his arms in surrender, Rittenhouse exhibited remarkable judgment by not firing his weapon. The video went on. Moving towards authorities, Rittenhouse experienced multiple gunshots fired off behind him. Rittenhouse attempted to turn himself into the police, but his involvement in the shooting was muffled by the night's confusion. Rittenhouse was reportedly ordered to move away for his safety. Rittenhouse left the area. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, the domestic terrorist here is cleaning up graffiti that was on a high school. Yeah, just plotting his night's activities, obviously. Earlier that fateful day, Rittenhouse was photographed removing graffiti from the exterior of a public high school near Kenosha County Courthouse just hours before the civil unrest ensued. And in December 2018, Rittenhouse started a Facebook fundraiser for a nonprofit called Humanizing the Badge. In his own words, Rittenhouse sought to forge stronger relationships between law enforcement officers and the communities they serve. He urged his friends to donate to the Pro-Cop charity for his 16th birthday. And to think that this kid had to sit in fucking grown-up jail for months, it makes me sick to my stomach. At 15 years old, Rittenhouse participated in a youth public safety cadet program in Chicago's far northern suburbs. His since-deleted Facebook profile picture often used the thin blue line frame, a symbol of solidarity with police. Thank you, post-millennial. Another stated that the picture's periphery, "We back the blue." Several posts paid tribute to Chicago police officers killed in line of duty in 2018 and the life of McHenry County Sheriff's deputy lost last year. A 17-year-old American citizen is being sacrificed by politicians, but it's not Kyle Rittenhouse thereafter. Their end game is to strip away the constitutional rights of all citizens to defend our communities, our personal properties, our lives, and the lives of our loved ones, the video concluded. So yeah, that should keep you guys up to speed or let you know what the hell's going on. Clearly a terrible kid, right? No, obviously not. I'll be a little bit serious here. Clearly self-defense. Clearly he had his life in danger several times. You could argue if he wanted, or if he should have even been there that night, but yeah, he was definitely doing the right thing, in my opinion. The way that he's being smeared in the media is one of the most grotesque things I've ever seen in my entire life. I could not imagine any bigger of a miscarryment of judgment, more corrupt application of the law than in this specific case. I think that cleaned it up a little bit better. But like I said, I do urge you to watch the video if you haven't already seen it already, or if the description here was not detailed enough for you. But yeah, he was being shot at. He was being assaulted. He was cleaning up a community he did not live in. He was helping out business owners. He was being a good, productive citizen, and he had several months of his life, and probably, well, this stain is going to be on him for a very long time, and I hope this turns out in the best way for him. Mom turned out a lot better after this case than when they went in. It's going to be a hard battle. Hopefully it ends up like a Nick Sandman thing, where he gets a ton of money, but I know money doesn't really clean up an entire smear campaign. But as we're seeing right now, justice may or may not be served because it's not being in certain other going-ons in the legal realms. So until we get more information, that'll be the end of Kyle Rittenhouse coverage for the time being. Might be a little bit overdue, but it's still very important information out there. Hopefully you guys appreciate that. Anyways, guys, I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.